Sarah had been working at Mel's diner for 3 years, and she thought she'd seen it all. But there was something about the elderly man who came in every morning at 7:15 that she could unshake. He always sat in the same booth by the window. He always ordered the same thing: black coffee and wheat toast. And he always ate alone. At first, Sarah figured he was just another regular. You get a lot of those working the breakfast shift. But weeks turned into months, and she started noticing the little things. The way his hands trembled when he lifted his cup. The faded wedding ring he still wore. The way he'd stare out that window like he was looking for someone who would never come. One Tuesday morning, Sarah decided to break her own rule. She'd learned early in this job not to get too personal with customers, but something told her this was different. She slid into the booth across from him with 2 cups of coffee. He looked up, surprised. His eyes were this pale blue, the kind that had seen too much. "You've been coming here for 4 months," she said, "and I don't even know your name." He smiled, and it was the saddest smile she'd ever seen. "Walter," he said. "Walter Morrison." They talked for 20 minutes that morning. She learned he was 82, and that his wife Eleanor had passed away 2 years ago after 56 years of marriage. That this diner was where they had their first date back in 1967. That he came here every morning because it was the only place that still felt like she was with him. Sarah started joining Walter every morning after that. Just for a few minutes between orders, he'd tell her stories about Eleanor, about the life they built together, about the daughter they lost to cancer when she was only 30, about how some days he forgot Eleanor was gone and he'd turn to tell her something only to remember all over again. 3 months later, Walter didn't show up. Sarah felt it in her gut immediately. She tried to stay focused on her tables, but her eyes kept drifting to that empty booth by the window. The next day, he wasn't there either. On the 3rd day, a woman in her 50s walked into the diner. She had Walter's eyes. "Are you Sarah?" she asked. Sarah's heart dropped. She nodded. "I'm Rebecca, Walter's niece. He asked me to give you this." She handed Sarah an envelope. "He passed away 2 nights ago, peaceful, in his sleep." Sarah's hand shook as she opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter and a photograph. The photo showed a young couple at a diner booth. The girl had dark hair and was laughing. The boy was looking at her like she was the only person in the world. The letter read, "Dear Sarah, thank you for sitting with an old man and listening to his stories. You probably didn't realize it, but you look so much like my Eleanor when she was young. Same dark hair, same kind eyes. These past few months, having coffee with you, it felt like I got a little piece of her back. You gave a lonely old man something to wake up for. That's not a small thing. That's everything. I left something for you with Rebecca. Use it for something that makes you happy. Walter." Rebecca handed her another envelope. Inside was a check for $10,000. Sarah broke down right there in the middle of the breakfast rush. But they weren't tears of sadness. Not entirely, anyway. Because she realized that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness, sitting down for coffee, listening to someone's story, can mean absolutely everything to someone who feels invisible. Walter had been coming to that diner looking for his wife. Somehow in those brief moments each morning, he'd found her again. Sarah still works at Mel's diner, and every morning at 7:15, she makes an extra cup of black coffee and sets it at Walter's booth by the window. Some love stories never really end.